kicking off your 2 matches. Let's go. They're all going to be on Mirror. We're going to head over to Castro. The Blink. John Allen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jason. We're going to go into the mirror, of course, that first mirror of the day. As you say, thank you. It was excellently broken down there on the desk. The 30 points that it was able to accrue for Nexus Gaming, they did incredibly well. More of that, please.
Oh, dear. You had a bit of a moment there.
It really,
It just got you.
really cracked me up.
You know when you just get got.
Yeah,
Maxman is Doran.
he had me in a vice lock, and you know I couldn't help myself but laugh. that really got me good.
It was instinctual.
Yeah, it was a primal laugh.
Bestial.
It was a primal laugh. I was wheezing afterwards. Doran, though, yeah, absolutely crazy game from them and Nexus overall. And the boys on the desk kind of broke it down as best they could because on it, I think that Nexus did make an interesting play, looking to clear out as much of that eastern side as possible before making the wrap back. You know, the slingshot. I like the slingshot. It was good. It was very, very good. And they ended up taking it all because of that. And I think that was more because of the lions that was Nexus just going around, just ravaging everyone. And Nexus was like, I don't really know what's going on, but they seem to be tearing themselves apart in the process. But I guess we'll finish the game now. Either way, it was amazing. And I hope Nexus takes this same energy into this match because, as Maxman said, more of that, please.
Nexus just slay. They do so much work in that last one, but it is only the one match. They did manage to close a bit of a gap, but they are too far away from the top to really find that glory, I would say. But that will definitely be a game I'll remember for a while. Right now, north of the Mad Bulls over in Impala. And they'll play from that eastern side circle, very central, playing path again. Pretty kind, just seeing those parachutes start to expire over in El Azahar, as Regnum Kaya might have a little bit of trouble not going to Picardo.
Yeah, there is a disturbance in the Force at the moment with gangsters who currently are no longer in the blue very often, which is a bit odd. This is interesting though. X-Ruya 147 points, 10 points behind Fireflux now, so they are catching up. And it's almost amusing because, you know, first it was S2G. They were meant to be the big dogs. They just simply weren't. Then it was Fireflux. They were meant to bring balance to the Turkish forces. They didn't. And now it's truly Regnum Kaya at the top. And next Ruya is trying to take Fireflux off that podium as well. So we have completely new Turkish faces who are at the top of their game. And it's amazing how much talent comes out from Turkey at the moment. I love to see it.
I was really trying to find a way to crowbar S2G into Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
So that you could have Fireflux Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then Regnum Kaya.
I see what you tried to do there.
But I couldn't for the life of me get one.
Yeah, it's not happening.
No.
S2G, they just refuse to be part of the show. Overall. They're not even here.
Didn't even like the sequel trilogies that much.
Yeah, they were the cancelled movies, unfortunately. The ones that didn't.
They were the Christmas special.
Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, I think maybe S2G can bounce back. I hope they do. I really do like the team. And I think they've got some very, very good players. And they shocked an orders over in the PMGC. Maybe that comes back again over in the fall split. Or we head over towards Turkey proper.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great fun heading over there. Hopefully we will have a team from Turkey.
We will.
Able to stand up towards the top as well.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
It was a bit of a surprise to see S2G, to be honest, take home the PMGC last year.
Yeah. At this rate, there's going to be 5 of them.
They outperformed everybody else there, and we didn't really see at PMWI a Turkish team have as much impact as we would have liked. Fireflux were still in the conversation, but not quite what we expected. But now,
I will say they've been fairly consistent. I've got to give them, I will have to give them that. They've been a pretty consistent team.
Consistently consistent, one could say.
Yeah, it's not CCT. That's all. That's all.
Not anymore. Not yet.
Not yet. There's still time. There's still time to fix this. Looking at the map, though, you saw at the beginning of the game here, again, another central one where a lot of teams have a pretty good shout into this match. You have Nigma Galaxy all the way on the southern side, though, which does make things slightly more difficult heading up towards the north with a lot of teams in this area next to you up towards Power Grid, playing on that ridge side, overlooking Geekay. Fireflux is most likely going to head towards that top side of Los Leones before they start heading in towards that circle You've got Road to Glory in front of Enigma Galaxy as well. So a lot of very good teams and teams that have significant gun skill ahead of them in the way. And, you know, that rotation up towards that eastern side felt a lot easier a lot of times to make that one happen for Enigma Galaxy. But now Mad Bulls and Nexus are both in the way there too. Two teams that have stepped up during this tournament.
Try and keep that Stairmaster going for the Mad Bulls on the east flank. Taking a look at the tower graphic on the side. Oh, I thought they had caught up the Nexus, but they're 1 point behind the Gangsters on 84. Hopefully, they'll be able to jump on over that hurdle, maybe even turn their attention to De Muerte and Geeke right around the corner.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the hair starts to turn a little bit white and they start shimmering a little bit blue, then we know there's a slight problem in case. And if I start to hear trumpets, there genuinely is a problem. Because like we said, that last game just felt instinctual to them overall. Pretty crazy experience. Gladiators, that's what Scythe from Vision. Matic opting to just run right past. Better position. Oh, five grenades, yeah, okay. I see you.
This should, by all rights, be a knock, but safe no. Extricates himself effectively. Does take half his health bar in damage, and Tixie's there. A 1-2 punch from the Gladiators to keep them all alive and pick up a point.
I like that play. You know, that was probably the most casual elimination I've seen in quite a while, as Tixie just plops the buggy down, goes for the shots afterwards. Again, quite a central focused lobby here. A lot of teams already heading towards that side, including Gangsters, which makes me sad. Mon, though. Oh, dear. That's the 3 players, once again, for Gladiators.
Volt brings the potential difference between the two teams into equilibrium. No current flows anymore, as they are 3 versus 3. Meku, though, still on the high ground to maybe control a push forwards. No, still backed off the line. Mini 14 and M4 volley out towards Meku. And he has to step back or be humbled.
Nade over the top there. There's no one. He's completely free. Don't you worry about it. Team Falcons out in the blue will be moving in. Enigma Galaxy in a similar situation as is Mad Bulls. And you know what? Nexus have moved in fairly quickly from Impala.
Okay.
This team has literally woken up from the PMRC coma that they have been in.
Meku shots towards Lath. Not really tagging too much damage, but vehicle takes a bit. Not really too bad a shape, though. Should be fairly good for it. Matic, though, catches Lath crashing a tree. That is unfortunate. Mon is there for the backup. Kitsune on the off angle now. Moving on into the fight. Kitsune has not really been present so far in this engagement, but can now start to marshal the lands in front.
Next circle pops. We're heading over towards Hacienda del Patron. So quite a bit of fielded areas over here. There is obviously that urban area towards that northern side. A couple of ridges around the edges of this circle that you can take place on high ground. That elevation is going to be quite important. Teams moving up through La Bandita and past that region towards that south side. You know, the terrain isn't as nice as it could be for a lot of these teams, but that's Miramar for you. Over towards that eastern side in Graveyard, where it's slightly more difficult to play around, as you can see, because we're right here, right now, with these ridges in play. Does split up a lot of the engagements, but Nexus have heard this, and they're rolling in.
Bolt nade cooking close to Meku. This scrap has been going on for a while now. Does find half the health bar of Meku. Good start, but he's already backed off fully to reposition away. With Mon down, bleeding out. Not going to be able to find that res. Leaving Vision down on 2. Southeast side, and Nexus crest the ridgeline. Immediately you hear a crackle through the ether as the shots just ring out and the volley is strong here. Volt does get taken away, though, by Meku for the Gladiators, so the point does not go into the Nexus bank.
Gladiators like, get me out of here right this instant. EXO has a nade, starts tossing it over towards the likely positions where players might still be roaming. But yeah, the amount of bullets that just suddenly came out from that region of the map was fairly terrifying. Octavian has a nasty little bit of high ground looking down towards Meku as he runs through this tiny area of Sanctuary.
Brute Force scrapping out with Demuerte on the northern side. GQ trying to isolate positions in the center near San Martin. And at the moment, everybody's just looking to step their toes in. Demuerte, though, turned away on the northern side by Brute Force. Regnum Kaya will hear these shots, and it looks like they are going to send out to that west side towards water treatment and down towards Hacienda.
Yeah, Brute Force trying to hold on to this high ground as long as possible. It's over towards the west, and they will have to come down at some point. Regnum Kaya is making a fairly dangerous push past water treatment, as you were talking about, John. So this is quite intense for them, but they will pick up some form of a compound to play around with going forward, give them a bit of safety. But they are in that fielded area to begin with. And I think that they will likely just hang around here for as long as possible before this next cell comes through and decide on the next rotation from there. Nexus still want to push in. They are in the blue at current pace. And Gladiators are in front of them, looking for a single knock to open things up and possibly go from there.
This road that runs through the middle of the circle, dividing the teams, and a lot have taken position on the south. The northern side a little bit less occupied, but do you want to isolate into those urban environments or the hills to the south of Hacienda? Can be a risk. At the moment, Brute Force look like they are going to disengage from Demuerte and try and move further to that road with the next circle pop.
We see this circle actually quite frequently, and it's that ridge side that cuts down the southwest edge, which is quite important for a lot of teams, where it's got these plateaus that stage downwards like stairs down towards that southwest edge. In the meantime, though, we are having a lot of teams send immediately towards that ridge side. It's where a lot of teams would like to play. Mad Bulls will find a player over towards Gladiators as Excuse Me rolls down some of the lads from Team Falcons. So an immediate response from a lot of these teams to try and get in the few spots, few places that you can play towards the center of this circle. Nexus will struggle to get in. I do sort of like GK's position right now, John.
Playing in one of the more solid spots. A lot of control over this ground. The ridgeline's still operable, though, on the west.
Yeah, I think with the way the circle's landed as well, John, because there's this area on the top side which is still open outside of that ridge that comes up from Picardo, because we're not fully on top of it, right? With GK being here, it gives them the option to send in towards those shacks that are just on the east of the ridge, but it also gives the opportunity to dip out of that ridge at any moment. Whereas some of these other teams are kind of locked in for the long run, like Next Ryu, who currently on that large amount of high ground, will have to step off at some point if we move away from here. So GK's playing for options at this point in time.
And it's teams like Next Ryu who are going to have to fend off against this swing down from Demuerte, potentially, if they get past Excuse Me, who, again, might also go for that Next Ryu position.
Yep.
So a lot more hotly contested on that southwest side. In the meantime, over on the eastern edge, Nexus, who have already put 2 on the board, and we're not going to oversing them in this game just yet, but they are pushing in from that eastern side. You can see along that road and into a compound on the east side of the circle. Mad Bulls, really their major threat on the south side, but also GQ across the road to the north.
I think for Next Ryu, what they really have to be careful with is this northwest edge of them, alongside where Demuerte, Excuse Me, are currently fighting. It's quite flat terrain the closer you get towards Next Ryu, so I think that Excuse Me and Demuerte both identify that this fight has to finish now. As you can see just up towards that top right-hand side of your screen, that's terrain you're going to have to cross at some point. It's terrain that you don't really want to have to cross, but eventually that's going to be the obstacle.
Excuse Me holding so far against Demuerte. And the Falcons have oversight on some of these pushes as well from the angles that they hold a little bit further out to the east. Circle goes to GK, keeps the Nexus compound in as well, just the edge of it though. However, they might opt to go for an earlier cross. We'll have to wait and see what they have in the bag to be able to make this one happen. Next Ruya moving Frozen out further east.
Yeah, again, it comes back to it, right? Those options that are available to you when this isn't really solidly on that ridge side in the first place. I do like that position taken by GK. It's not easy always to get there, so they chose to pick up early, so there wasn't a huge amount of teams around them all taking shots at the vehicles passing across that quite open space, which can result in just about 3 of your vehicles exploding along the way. That includes your players too.
The main chase, Blank. The second to first place chase. Let's talk about Nigma Galaxy on this south side for a second. They are wide split. Freak playing close under the shadow of Next Ruya. 3 players over on the east, close to Road to Glory. And with Regnum Kaya taking a little bit of scrap on the northern side, it is another opportunity for Nigma Galaxy to potentially earn some points here. But there is a lot of open ground ahead of them. There's a lot of teams above them on the west, and that eastern side isn't looking any easier.
No, not at all. And I think that you're right talking about this, because with Regnum Kaya actually taking this position over towards that northeast, yes, you can push down from here and kind of tuck inwards, but you really do have to tuck at that point in time. Fireflux are looking to dismount Regnum Kaya from this position. And although Regnum Kaya is in this turtle mode, right, the survival mode of just maintaining that tiny gap between them and Nigma Galaxy the entirety of the remainder of the tournament, yeah, if they keep going down early, they're going to keep giving opportunities to Nigma Galaxy. And it's not like there isn't a chance for Nigma Galaxy to have a massively pop-off game. We just saw one from Nexus. It's unlikely we'll ever see one again this tournament as big as that game. But certainly, 15 elimination game, 16 elimination game, that's in the wheelhouse of Nigma Galaxy.
And with one more game in pocket as well, they give themselves that platform should they be able to achieve that mark. Regnum Kaya looking to try and hold on here, because right now it's a 25-point lead at the top of the tables from second to first. So any points from here on out that Regnum Kaya can earn makes their final game a lot easier. Octavian just got taken down for Nexus on the eastern side. Doran as well suffering, and that's GQ taking shots out their way. A full flush and a knock sent out towards Nexus. It is not good news for their run. Did they burn too bright? Have they extinguished their flame?
Yeah, I mean, Nexus haven't played amazingly this whole tournament, but that last game was something to definitely witness. I mean, I highly recommend watching it again after this broadcast finishes if you didn't get a chance to tune in for it. It was amazing, but I don't know how likely it was for them to continue on that pace as they continue to lose more and more members. Sandwich between GQ as well as Mad Bulls is always difficult in that sense. So for Nexus, I don't think they've got too much longer to live here as they go down in 13th place.
2 elims, and that should be a reminder as to the general performance that we've seen from them this tournament. An exasperated but relieved sigh from GQ to push in from that northern edge. Falcons also falling.
Oh dear.
As the circle shifts northwest. Keeps GK in there, but Regnum Kaya can sit down for a while.
Yeah, this is an insanely strong position from Regnum Kaya. This is the one that you can start to sweep downwards on the western side. I think the main problem for them at the moment is Fireflux. I think if they can win that fight versus Fireflux, who are currently only on 3 members, there's a big chance for them. In the meantime, Nigma Galaxy going for a wide wrap on that south side, kind of tuck in as well towards these lower elevated areas of the map. It doesn't give you the most amount of control possible, but you can set yourself up to take shots at the teams on the top side. But Next Ruya, very much aware of this situation, immediately relocates 2 players onto this side. I think they understood that a team might try and go for this wrap down here, so very, very, very much heads-up play coming through from Next Ruya, even though Excuse Me now is really laying in the hurt towards Nigma Galaxy.
Excuse me saying, hang on a minute, that was our idea. We did this first. We're going to shut you out on this south side. Next Ruya taking a scrap with Brute Force and winning a point over on the top side of this terrain. And Brute Force now down to 3 players on that high ground, with Gangsters a little bit further around the corner up to the north. Regnum Kaya still playing with 4, but they've gone for a wide split 3-1 with Wild playing all the way back towards Fireflux. This is only 3 players from Regnum Kaya who can fight in this.
This is actually hilarious, and also quite a confident play coming from. I think they're comfortable with Wild setting up towards Fireflux. They understand they're probably not going to push that location, so he maintains anchor on that side of the map. And they push over towards this compound because it's one of the stronger ones on the northeast side, but they do it purely because they identify this rotation coming through from GQ and they want to hold them out. If they can do that, fantastic. They're going to control even more area on that northeastern side and stop a team more significantly from taking those sight lines over towards them on the west edge. What a heads-up play coming through from Regnum Kaya once again.
And Fireflux will control from the western side as well. They need Wild to stay alive, but as you said, it's unlikely that Fireflux go for that push, but Solus is getting a little bit close. As we go back over towards next Ruya, though, 4 players still alive, playing on that southwest side. Excuse Me and Enigma Galaxy both trying to keep themselves alive. Gangsters and Brute Force resolve their engagement, and in come GQ to the fight.
Yeah, the fact that they've got up this far is quite difficult now for Regnum Kaya. Get a little bit further, but I think Regnum Kaya has been fairly good at these defensive holds in the past, but let's see if they can live up to the name, because we've seen a lot of times these things go very awry. It's quite difficult to get past this building, though. It's very easily nadeable. We have seen Regnum Kaya in the past expend a huge amount of utility very quickly. They want to maintain some of these nades going forward. Easel down to none with just 1 Molotov remaining. So you can see Tron and Loxy here being very much cautious.
Here they go.
And conservative with the grenades. The first one's really good.
Finding an excellent pickup. The Molotov to stop any pushes coming through. Another nade put out through the window and tags some damage to get the flush. And there he goes for the first. Bringing them down to 2 active. The nade not quite successful there. And Loxy puts more damage out through the window. Toffee's given the run around here. As Regnum Kaya playing with 3, hold perfectly on the longhouse. Ezel on the off angle, getting bombarded by AZ out the side, and Toffee's forced for a wide peek, pre-firing the window, controlling that hop out. Nicely played on the corner.
Yeah, eventually they'll have to move away from this compound. Great peek from Loxy. That is just disgusting.
He's looking for more, but he might not need to find it. Hops in through the window, but Tron controls it. Excellent form from Regnum Kaya playing as 3. Did we doubt it for a second? I don't think so. In the meantime, Wild still holding their position. They can regroup back there should they want to. The Gangsters, though, pretty close by.
Yeah, Road to Glory pushing over towards this position, but looks like Regnum Kaya is jumping in towards their vehicles. Gangsters with a replay over towards Brute Force, removing them. I really like what the guys of Claris and Hot Juke says, like, Gangsters is a good team now, apparently. Some reason, I don't know what happened. Maybe their coach gave them a stern talking to, or maybe a very kind VOD review or something.
Oh, Fireflux opened up on Wild. He's been hidden for so long. They didn't expect him to be here, but they know about it now. Ketch wants to try and trade it off. The heal being enacted for Solus as Ketch marches forwards, but Wild still has more in the magazine, and the roll down for Regnum Kaya. They move on in, and the last is there to fall. A brilliant regroup sending back out to the west. But they have Road to Glory and Gangsters all turning their way.
Leaving Wild behind as an assassin has to be the wildest card I've seen all tournament versus Fireflux. They had no idea. They saw the vehicles leave. They assumed the remainder of Regnum Kaya had just paced out. But no, they remain for much, much longer. This is what we talked about earlier. Getting off that side of the plateau, very difficult, John. And Excuse Me took up that role of trying to take down these players as they left. And they find the pickup as to pretty much eliminate the entirety of next Riyadh. They do get 6 points total and will slowly close the gap here with Fireflux. Loxy goes down, but a good start for them.
Trying to keep themselves in this one. 2 players now active for Regnum Kaya. As Tron goes down as well, just the 1 remains. The newest addition to the roster. Looking to try and anchor them from the back here, but they may have already done enough now, Blank. 8 eliminations on the game, with Enigma Galaxy going down with just 1 point this match. It could be now that the bell rings and the death toll sounds for the rest of the lobby.
Yeah, Regnum Kaya has done more than enough. Another top 5 position today has just been all about cranking out those points, and they've done it like really just getting these points on a conveyor belt and just sending them off, packaging them over towards PMRC has been lovely. Easel doesn't even want to help Tron at this point in time. He's just going to crawl on through. If you can get a top 4, that's what matters most. It's unlikely they're going to get a huge amount more elimination, so leaving Tron behind here for a more favorable finish for themselves, it makes sense to me.
Shots over to Tron. The flush for Groza, Road to Glory. Snap up another point. And another player removed from their side. Gangsters from the top of the hill. GK have been chilling in this compound for so long.
Yeah, very, very quiet, man. And I think that's the thing I don't really like about this. I think they haven't had as much impact. But again, if we take a look at this, they sent towards this compound very early. You can see Satan, he's only got 36 more bullets in the mag, right? And 38 in the chamber currently, but 8 smokes, 7 grenades. That is the main thing that they're looking for towards that end game. Should have any of those crashes coming through, they needed to have those nades to take control of maybe one portion of this compound, of this area, and then just nade any team that moved in, which is the smart thing to do considering it's quite open getting in towards that space jump.
Gangsters looking to marshal the top of this hill now. Control downhill towards Road to Glory. Groza and its Reva both playing a little bit further down, but they are in the circle. Gangsters a little bit closer to that edge. At the moment, though, excuse me, under the most pressure, likely the next team to go down here, Blank, with the blue zone, pushing them off of these ridge lines. There really isn't that much safe ground for them ahead, and you can see your Gangsters just going to pick off Havlik there. You either step out this way and expose to Gangsters, or you go down and expose to GK. There are no two ways about it. You're going down here.
28 bullets left, but I mean, at least Hive has a few left remaining. They've got DBSs and UMPs for the late game, so they are running a different ammo type. Right now, they're just expending all their long-range weaponry onto these teams as they move down. But the question is, with them being on the edge of the circle, what happens when they have to move out? Right now, the Gangsters looking to clear out over towards this northern side. I don't know what's gotten into these guys or what kind of breakfast they had, but it's working out for them right now.
Trying to tag its Reva, but a reposition with the buggy sees it a little bit safer for the time being. The Molotov from Jafar launches over, and the buggy goes down as well, forced off of the cover. Jafar looks to push further in as well. GK now looking to move out. They want a third party here. Satan leads the charge, spots the first player. The DBS around the side to shoot down into the smoke as the Gangsters close the other side of the jaw. Finding one onto GK and traded back and forth between the two over the top. It's Reza still standing. Jafar goes down to him. The sprayer's there, looking for the flush as well. We'll be able to find it. Finally falls to an aid from Yusuf, but the damage is done. Gangsters lose one and also take another knock. GK moved out in a really heads-up timed play.
2 versus 3 at the moment. It looks like GK will pick up their 4th member here. More nades are coming through, but at the moment, Gangsters are remaining pretty safe.
I'm surprised that Black White's been able to stay alive for so long, but everybody turned their attention to this fight on the northeast side. Black White just managed to get out of the blue with some cover as well from the vehicle. He brought with him a nade from Yusuf behind the rock is absolutely huge. It opens the door. Gangsters with a chance now. 9 eliminations so far, and they want to find these 2 more. Bring them up to 11. Spinal Tap on the playlist. Yusuf gives them that shot.
Jafar goes down, but he's done so much for the team at the moment. An absolute monster from that hillside. And the Gangsters continue to push in. GK did not see this one coming. Crip walking down the hillside to take down the remaining members of this team.
A little bit of recovery found for GK. The damage continues to pour on through. 5 eliminations came from Jafar this match, but he is out of the mix. They'll have to rely on the rest of the roster, but can Yusuf spot another miracle nade?
Gangsters can be happy to wait this one out at the moment, though. Because eventually, Ragnar, he's going to be pushed out by the blue himself, pushes through the smoke. It's a decent start one. Watch has to spot him, gets him on the jump through.
That is absolutely huge. It removes an angle and immediately they send straight over the top. The Gangsters shut down onto Satan as he burns away, and it is a Gangsters chicken dinner. 22 points on the match. 12 eliminations are found, and what a way to close it down. A big nade for Yusuf to open that bidding.
Man, Jafar picks up the AKM and slays from far away. What a nutter in this match. He has improved so much throughout this tournament, and what a chilled out guy. Gangsters, they've got to be happy with how this tournament's gone for them. Definitely the most improved team in my books.
Gangsters so good that match. They looked clean. They isolated that position over on the western side. They took that fight with brute force and resolved it. It looked like there were so many roadblocks over to that north edge with Regnum Kaya and Fireflux both playing there.
I mean, Regnum Kaya did go for one of the most, most crazy plays that works out.
Well, you know.
The fact that they left Wild behind and he's able to pick up Fireflux, they predicted perfectly what Fireflux was going to do after that point with Wild tucking in, and it was the biggest bait in the history of PUBG Mobile as they all sent away towards that top side, whilst also clearing out the east. I mean, they were doing a lot with the little